Well, this is disappointing. You know, I really thought that this time he would have actually mined out his cave, and yet, he still has so... Oh. The thing is, like, it moves quite quickly, doesn't it? I really don't want to sit here just watching him mine for, like, 20 minutes, but I feel like if I did, we'd achieve what we're here to do. I just don't know why he'd stop here. Like, I got it here, because he had to turn around, but this time, it's just, he just fucking dug his stairs and then was like, actually, no, fuck you, I'm stopping. We're not doing that, though. We're not doing that, I'm sorry. I would love to get this second floor of my house properly built and everything. That would be very cool, but not happening right now. Instead, what we're going to do is pop open the old auto walk system, and we're going to head back up to the mushrooms. I don't know if there's anything else we should be exploring, like, in the rest of the dungeon, because look at it, we're nearly 100 days... Wait, nearly 200 days in, right? 400 days normally, and we're nearly halfway there. So I feel like if anything is going to change in the grand scheme of the world, it will probably be happening around the halfway mark, right? That seems like a pretty obvious trigger for that. So I don't know if it's worth giving the whole world another once-over, but particularly I'm interested in what the fuck's going on with those mushrooms, because it felt like I was onto something with them last time, right? We managed to make a weird mushroom, and that felt like progress in some way. And I want to see if we've successfully made it any weirder, or created a different type of weird mushroom or anything, if we're getting anywhere with anything at the moment. Because that one tunnel that we mined out with the Matic, that felt like it was something important. That felt like a secret that we had unravelled. Much more important than just digging out the bottom floor of the house for more space to hang pictures or whatever. But I guess that remains to be seen. It remains to be seen whether any of that pays off at all. It would be cool if it did, but, you know, no promises, I suppose. So, what is happening in the world right now while we slowly trek through this incredibly long-winded path back up to the mushroom lair? Dragon's Dogma 2 came out. I've got a friend who's playing it, says it's really good, very pretty. Apparently it's been having a lot of like performance issues. There's microtransactions in it. There are some downsides. I'm thinking due to the performance issues I probably won't be playing it on the channel, and I will probably end up getting it on console, but you will no doubt be hearing all about my endeavours. You'll get the second-hand information, aren't you, Lucky? No, I'm looking forward to that, though. Looking forward to that. That and Dragon Age 4. Sort of the two big AAA titles that I currently care about at all. And I do, you know, I mean, Dragon Age is BioWare, obviously, who haven't had a great track record recently, so I'm a little bit wary of that one, but Dragon's Dogma is Capcom, who have just been knocking it out the park time and time again. I mean, again, you know, obviously people have been up in arms about the microtransactions in the game, which I don't agree with. You know, I tend to take a pretty strong anti-microtransaction stance a lot of the time. I think it's in a lot of cases they're only put in, like, the game is made worse in order to sell microtransactions, if you like. You know, the grind is increased in order to try and encourage people to buy XP boosters, or, you know, that sort of chicanery. I don't think Capcom are too bad for it, though, in all honesty. Like, as I say, I hate to play defender for big corporation, you know. Don't get me wrong, I would prefer it if there weren't any in the game. But, I mean, like, Devil May Cry 5, you could buy red orbs, and it's like, there was no need to. I mean, there's a playthrough of that game on this channel. You can see that mostly I sort of breezed through that game. It wasn't especially difficult. There were some tough boss fights for sure, but it wasn't like it was like busted hard and you had to grind in order to get through it or anything, right? The red orbs were just there for people who, I guess, like to be really overpowered really easily in games. That is a contingent of people, I've noticed. I've heard people talk about that. I still do occasionally, but I used to be fairly active on the Game FAQs message boards back in the day, and you'd always hear about people who were like, oh yeah, if there's like a glitch in a game where I can get like 1 billion experience and get to level 99999 at the beginning of the game, I will always do that, and I can just, one-shot my way through the entire game. And it's like, well, where's the fun in that? Where's the enjoyment you're gaining from that particularly? You know what I mean? Like, how is that a fun time for you to just walk up and one-shot everything? I mean, yeah, obviously the power fantasy is cool, but I feel like if there's zero challenge whatsoever in the game, then there's no sort of like gameplay anymore. There's no feeling of success, no feeling of reward. I'm not judging, if that's how you like to play the game, then go for it. But for me personally, I cannot understand it. I cannot comprehend it at all. Like, I want the game to... And it doesn't even necessarily have to like super challenge me per se, but just provide something to sink my teeth into, some sort of gameplay. And if you're so broken that nothing is a challenge anymore, then where's the gameplay? You know what I mean? I don't know. I think this is a lot of the problem I have with, I bring it up a lot, but modern Pokemon, that series, I think, I'm not against the XP share in general as a concept, but the game has to be balanced around it, and they just never are. Especially Gen 6 was the worst offender for this. If you go back and play through Pokemon X or Pokemon Y, don't turn the XP share off, which you can do in those games, granted, but if you don't, then you'll be like double the level of all your opponents. And it's like, well, now there's no game anymore. Now I'm just pressing one button and one-shotting it, which, obviously Pokemon against NPCs is never like the most challenging thing in the world, but I don't know. This is why I play Nuzlocke almost exclusively at this point. I did start a Nuzlocke. I mean, I've done a couple on the channel, but I started one of my own time on Pokemon Alpha Sapphire and got nowhere. I can't even remember what it was. I think it was just like a trainer in Brawly's gym killed my Mudkip, and then I just had like 2 Pokemon left that weren't particularly well leveled, and I was like, oh, well, I guess I'm done with this now. Never mind then. I do want to play through that game properly though, because I bought Omega Ruby back when it came out and played through most of it. I never did the post game, which is, the new material and therefore probably the most interesting part, but for some reason I just sort of fell off the game after I beat the Elite Four. And then my cartridge just broke. It just stopped working. I did manage to save my Pokemon off it, which was pretty cool. Like, I could load the game, but then it was just crashing, like, within seconds. And I somehow managed to transfer all my Pokemon to Pokemon Home, or whatever the service was at the time. Or at least all the ones I cared about. And then I tried to start a new game, and literally it crashes immediately on startup. You don't even get the few seconds anymore. So the cartridge is just bricked now, which is a real shame. So, I picked up Alpha Sapphire. I've been playing that instead. But I want to play through it properly, even if my Nuzlocke is failed. I would just like to get through that game again. I've just not played Gen 3 Pokemon in a very long time, honestly. Which is weird, because it's a cool gen. It does have too much water. For all the people memed on that IGN review, they were correct. I will fight for that review, that they were 100% correct, that there was too much water in it. Like, way too much water. Surfing for 50% of the of the game and having to constantly run from fucking wingles and tentacles or whatever is not, that's not fun gameplay. Like, if they wanted like an archipelago sort of thing, that's great, you know, but put more land masses in it. Have them closer together, you know. You can still have the surfing routes, but put more land routes in as well. That would be my push if they were ever to remake Gen 3 Pokemon again. And for some reason I ended up on the design team. You know, these things happen. Sometimes you just stumble into a job you're wholly unprepared for. But I would tell them, you know, we're gonna put more land in this one, less water. Or even just as much water, just spread it more thinly, you know? Don't make me just spend the entire last third of the game just like constantly surfing. Anyway, I should be talking about this game, huh? The problem with this game is there's not a lot to talk about a lot of the time. It's a problem I'm having with it. We're not seeing anything new, are we? We've just spent like 10 minutes just walking through zones we've walked through a million times. Part of me is longing for it to be over just as much as the shaders. I'm very much in two minds about this game, I really am. Like, I do appreciate what it's going for, but if I were to describe it as an even remotely enjoyable or fun game to play, then I would be lying. And not even in the same way as, like, I'll go back to this as a point of comparison quite a lot, because it's a game I spent a lot of time with recently, Pathologic. Pathologic, I feel, at least had challenge in it, right? You had to really learn the intricacies of the game mechanics, or else you would just die over and over again. It was super punishing, and it could also be very drudgerous at points. But there was, like, something to overcome. I mean, this goes back to exactly what I was saying not 5 minutes ago, right? This game has nothing to overcome, aside from boredom, I guess. Which I guess they have leveraged quite successfully as a game mechanic, but that doesn't change the fact that boredom still prevails within this game. It does have some great ideas, I'm not knocking it for that, but once a lot of the games I play on the channel, I will finish them and then go, that was really cool, I'll probably replay that. And I might, in some cases, replay it again immediately because I've enjoyed it that much. Other cases, I'll come back to them years later and be like, oh yeah, I played this on the channel and it was fun and now I want to have a better look at it or whatever, you know. It's nice to sort of get that context of playing a game in a sort of, like if I play something over a weekend or something, you know, playing it in a sort of tighter set as opposed to it being a long-running thing I do over weeks and weeks and weeks on the channel. So it's nice to sort of go back to something like that in a sort of slightly different context. This game is not one I will ever be returning to, I'll tell you right now. It'll probably be a memorable experience, don't get me wrong. There's plenty of games I played on this channel and do not remember, and I don't think this will be one of those. I knew it. I fucking knew it. I called it so fucking hard. Look. Look what I did. Look what I did. Use Mattock. The abomination is useless here, I'll end. Okay. Okay. But we have learned, haven't we? Let's take green mushroom. And plant him next to what I'm hoping is going to be a relatively bulbous purple mushroom. Up in the other direction. I'm actually really proud of myself for solving this. I know I shouldn't be. This has been like the only puzzle I've managed to successfully solve in this game, and I imagine there's a bunch of stuff that has just flown directly over my head, but the fact that I pieced this together... See, there are moments like this in this game. You know what I mean? It does have that. And again, these are my major points of reference for this. That Outer Wilds, that Tunic sort of feeling about it to a degree. I mean, both of them intertwine their sort of player learning experiences with their gameplay a lot better than this does, I would argue. But this game does still, in fact, have moments like that where you're like, holy shit, Eureka, I figured something really cool out, you know? But they're just a lot fewer and further between than I'd like. I guess the question is whether that's the game's fault or mine. I'm not going to eat the mushroom. You can keep prompting me to eat the mushroom and it's not going to happen. I'm sorry. Those... they're not the ones, are they? We need to go further yet. Okay, cool. It worked. Where can I plant this, though? I'm not sure this will... I mean, it grew to, like, this size, right? I'm still not sure that's enough to get me up there. So maybe I haven't solved this puzzle just yet. I'm also not sure if this mushroom would do it, because it's already grown a purple one. This is just regrowing another green one once I plant it though, right? So it might even work if I just replant the same one, but I don't want to risk getting it wrong. Where can I... yeah, I'll plant this here. Let me just triple check that this is looking bulbous and gross. I think it is. Yuck, this mushroom is starting to look weird, better not touch it yet. Okay, so we're going to go grab that other green mushroom I saw off to the left on the way up here and plant that up here as well. I don't know if I could have speedrun this by planting 2 green mushrooms next to a purple one at once. I don't know if that would have helped necessarily. Probably something I should have tried, realistically, but I didn't even know if anything would grow up here or if it was exclusive to the little mushroom cave further down. Now I do know. Now I have answers to all my questions. Well, some of them at least. Don't know what else we're going to do with this video, to be honest. I mean, obviously it's 10 minutes to walk back again. So, I mean, we probably won't get a lot of free time. I might try and head to the White Void and just see if anything else has spawned there yet. Because bear in mind, like, every time we drop in on this game, like, 30-40 days has passed in his time. So, things will have changed. Things will have happened out there somewhere. You'd think. Maybe. Possibly. Hopefully. Oh, I did want to grab some sulfur as well. That was another thing I wanted to. I wanted to try and make a stinky fire. Just because I've got no clue what the benefit to that is. But if there's an action I can do in this game that I haven't taken yet, it feels worth exploring it, right? Like, it seems like it could only realistically be a bad thing, but you know, it could pay off. It could be cool. A little bit closer, maybe? Think this is close enough? Yeah, we're too close here. Okay. That'll do. Okay, we're now going to walk back down to here. Gonna go grab some sulfur, and then if we've got time we will hit up the White Void as well. There's a lot of trekking, but there we have it. So what's been happening in the world? I know the big news, you know, the big news in the UK at least at the moment seems to be that another royal has got cancer. Both Kingy and the wife of Kingy's son, Princess Kate, I think she's called. Sorry, I don't keep up with royal news too well. Are both cancer stricken currently. Which, you know, obviously they're people at the end of the day, so I do feel bad for them, but part of me is like, I wish I put money on the king, because when the king took the throne, I said I'd give him a decade tops, and I really wish I'd put money on that at the time, because now I feel like the odds are probably not going to be as good, right? But at the time, if I'd put money on it, I mean, it still wouldn't have been great. He was still like 70 whatever when he took the throne, but I probably could have made a nice little packet on that. Because let's face it, he's not. I don't think he's seen the 2030s. You know, just crazy. Because the previous monarch, the Queen, was on the throne for like 60 years or whatever, more than that even, right? 70 years? I don't know. A really, really long time is the important thing, is the important takeaway from that. And then she dies, and the next one's there for like 5 minutes, and then goes, oh yeah, by the way, I'm dying. Just immediately. It's morbid, I know, but I don't have a lot of love for the royal family, honestly. You know, a little bit of a Republican. Not in the American sense of the term, but in the, you know, sense of the term that I don't think we should have kings anymore. I think we're maybe a little bit past the medieval ages, personally. I don't feel like I need to be a serf in 2024. Only to my employer. Well, that topic of conversation dried up pretty quickly, didn't it? Ho-hum. Tell you what, if you're watching this and you haven't been watching my Dredge playthrough, tune in on that one. Tune in on that one. I'm really enjoying Dredge. I'm playing both Dredge and Blasphemous 2 at the moment, and I was expecting of the two, Blasphemous 2 to be the one I really sunk my teeth into, and I am enjoying that as well, don't get me wrong. I'm, you know, a Metroidvania fan, so anything that does that to a respectable degree, which Blasphemous 2 absolutely does, is always going to be a fun time. But Dredge is one of those games that's like so utterly unique. It really is so very unique. I mean, it essentially expands a fishing minigame. You know, I've played so many MMOs, they all have their own fishing minigame. This Dredge is essentially just that. But taking that and expanding it into like an eldritch horror is such a concept that is gonna tick all my boxes. It really is. Like it goes to show. Like, again, I was just saying, this game in particular feels drudgerous because it doesn't have a lot of gameplay, and a lot of it's just walking, and a lot of it is like self-imposed boredom, right? Dredge has not much more gameplay than this, realistically. It is mostly sailing from A to B, clicking on things, right? The fishing minigame is about as complex as it gets. But just that little flavour of something, just that little wisp of gameplay that you get in there is just enough to keep you invested, you know? Plus, you know, Eldritch Horror just always does it for me, honestly. Say what you like about Lovecraft, and you can, because the guy was pretty awful by all accounts. But he wrote some good stuff. He had some pretty fucking wild ideas, and they've been pretty influential on horror as a whole, I would say. Yeah, I think it's funny that, like, Lovecraft is considered racist, like, even by the terms of the era he lived in. Like, everyone was racist in, like, the 1910s or whatever, whenever the hell it was he was writing. But he was, like, so incredibly extra racist that even the racists thought he was racist, you know what I mean? He had some serious issues, he really did. I do hear occasionally that he, like, recounted later in life or whatever, and, you know, perhaps got less racist or something. I don't know. But it doesn't really change some of the shit that he said and did at the time. I think that's a hard one in general. I'm not specifically talking about Lovecraft at this point, but just like, if someone is a piece of shit earlier in life, right? And then they make strides to improve that, and they become a better person, and they no longer hold their shitty views or whatever. Is it fair to judge them on their past behaviour when they're no longer that person? You know what I mean? Obviously, if they do something criminal, that's a slightly different matter. But if they're just a piece of shit, and then they become less of a piece of shit, I feel like that's something we should really be celebrating. But I think that's sort of my one gripe, I guess, with cancel culture. And I don't believe cancel culture is a thing, particularly. I'm not one of these people who's like, oh my god, you can't say anything these days or whatever. Like, or, you know, anyone who sort of uses the word woke as a derogatory term is just cringe, honestly. But as cringe as saying cringe. But I think there is an element of truth about that, of people sort of being lambasted for their past mistakes, even if they're no longer the person who made those mistakes. There is an element of that, I do think, out there. I mean, if you were to go back and look at the earliest videos on this channel, and please for the love of God don't, but if you do, they are still up there. I didn't temper my language particularly. I never said anything truly heinous, but I don't think I would willingly sort of use the terminology I used then now. And that I've got no excuse for that either. Like, I wasn't a kid. Like, I started this channel when I was 27 or something, you know, 26, 27, I don't know, I've lost track, many years ago. But, yeah, I said some stuff that would be probably pretty cancelable by today's standards. But, yeah, thankfully I'm not in a position where that's likely to ever be necessary, so who cares, right? But it's still out there, and I don't intend to take it down. So, yeah. I don't know where I'm going with this, really. I don't know where I'm really going with this sentiment. Honestly, if someone tried to cancel me, it'll probably be a popularity boost, if anything. So. We have, in fact, just about reached the sulfur mines now, finally. I do wonder if there is some way of getting mushrooms out of the mushroom land. Because if it turns out we can make stepping stones with mushrooms that allow us to get up to higher places, and that's the only means I can think of getting up here, for example. Which is interesting. Was this the sulfur one, or was I think it was sulfur first, coal second, right? Yeah, this looks like sulfur to me. This looks suitably piss yellow. Beautiful. Usematic. Okay, so we needed 5, I believe, to make a stinky fire. I don't know how long that's likely to take. There's a good chance we will not have time to go to the White Void as well. But I guess that means we can just save it for next time when we're running out of things to do in this game. Just sort of sitting in silence now. I have had my big awkward spiel about cancel culture, the culture of councils, the cancel culture. Again, I would just like to say, I want it on record, I don't think cancel culture exists necessarily, nor is it a bad thing if it does. I think it's perfectly fine for people to get dunked on the internet if they have shitty takes, right? I just want to make sure that's clear. And I would like to be called out for any insensitive or bullshitty thing I say as well. Because, I mean, that's how you learn, right? It's how you improve as a person. If people say, hey, hang on, what you're saying isn't a good thing, maybe don't do that, then you can actually think on that, right? And it's very easy to get your feelings hurt and be like, oh no, I'm saying normal things, stop being sensitive or whatever, but you need to hear it. Because, I mean, let's be real. Words without context are very easy to say, aren't they? Like, a person could hear the N-word and not know its meaning and its history and the sort of, oh, okay, we got 5, that was pretty easy. Oh no, hang on, that's not how it works. I keep doing that in this game. Sorry, I'm derailing myself here. on a fairly important note, I'm derailing myself. But I keep thinking that I got 2 last time and then 3 this time and that equals 5. But it tells you a running total, not how much you just picked up. Anyway, as I was saying, using the N-word as an example here. Someone in a complete vacuum could hear that word and think, it's just a word I can say. And I think a lot of people do. I think that's the problem. I think a lot of people just be like, this is a word I have heard used. What's wrong with saying it? What's wrong with repeating it, Because they don't understand the context and the historical meaning and the effect that can have on people. So unless someone, and it probably won't be the case, if one person says, hey, you can't say that, that's probably not going to stick. But if enough people push back against that, that's when people start to understand that, oh yeah, hang on, wait, this is a bad thing. People are telling me this is a bad thing, and you need to be made aware of it, you know. So that's all I think cancel culture is. If you want to sort of give it a form, it's just people being like, hey, that's bad. It's people explaining. It's people trying to make you understand the consequences of your actions, I guess. Because, I mean, let's face it, anyone on the internet who has ever complained about cancel culture has never actually been cancelled, have they? I mean, maybe a few in extreme cases, but for the most part, you know, PewDiePie's still out there doing just fine. You know, he's still got over 100 million subscribers or whatever. He may not be the hot topic of conversation he once was, but, you know, I'm sure he's not hurting. You know, what was another one? John Trom, who went on a racist tirade. He still seems to be doing all right for himself. You know, one of his videos popped up in my feed not so long ago, and you know, I think he's an entertaining guy. I clicked on it. I'm not going to lie, and still seems to have like a team and a studio and a, you know, obviously enough of a sustainable income to keep making stuff. He's not been removed from the internet, has he? So, you know, the fact that, in fact, people are able to make careers out of being triggered by cancel culture is actually kind of amusing and ironic in a way, right? Like people going on mainstream news channels to screech about how they've been cancelled. It's like, hardly. I really need a new topic of conversation, man. This is getting too heavy. Don't get me wrong, this is a game that sort of encourages the mind to wander and talk about focus on perhaps the bigger things. Right, 6 sulfur, that's what we wanted. Should start walking home now? Yeah, start walking home now. Time to walk back home. Yeah, that's what I said, pal. Yeah, there's definitely a game that encourages that, because the mind will wander while playing this, while you're sitting there mining out sulfur for an extended period of time, or slowly pacing along an extendedly long corridor with a mushroom in your hand. Like, you're gonna think about shit, right? There's only so much you can talk about video games. When there isn't anything actively going on in front of you regarding video games. So how about a lighter topic of conversation? See, we've covered racism and cancel culture. We've covered cancer. We've covered scummy internet business practices. What's a bit more fun? I was talking positively about Dredge. It's got to count for something, right? Dredge is a cool game. It's only so long I can talk about that, though. I tell you what, here's my evil scheme that I've been trying to enact for a while now. I've not been super focused on it because I don't really have the money for it right now, but this is something I want to do. Long-time viewers of this channel will be super aware of the fact that I have an incredible soft spot for an incredibly niche, basically unknown Sega Saturn game called RoboPit. Little arena fighter thing. You make a robot, you fight other robots to increase your rank in the leaderboard. The goal is to get to the top and fight the secret boss at the top, and once you beat that, you complete the game. You win parts off the robots you defeat. Your parts gain experience as you use them. It's a fun little system. Super addictive, especially back in my childhood. I played so many hours of it, and I use a lot of its music when I have to fill air on a video, and I do technically, I think, I haven't checked recently, but I think I technically technically own the world record speedrun for the Sega Saturn version, not the PS1 version. Someone else has a much better score than me on that, but on the Sega Saturn version, I believe I do technically own the world record, which I have beaten, I should add, as well, in my off camera. I need to record a better run, because I've like halved that world record, but I haven't recorded it, so no proof of that point. Anyway, I'm digressing. What I want to do is buy the rights to RoboPit. I don't think I'd ever do anything with them, don't get me wrong. I just think it would be the coolest thing to own the rights. The literal, like, ownership IP publishing rights to one of my favourite childhood games. And I feel like it's not going to be that expensive, because no one's heard of it, no one has any interest in making a sequel. The developer who made it, I believe, are dead. The publisher who published it are definitely dead. What I can find out, the publisher were a studio called Cocopelli, who were, I believe, bought by THQ, but not the branch of THQ that's still alive today, the original THQ. I think it's THQ Nordic who are still kicking, right? But THQ, the publisher, who also went under about 10-15 years ago at this point. And a lot of their assets were sold off at the time to a bunch of different companies. So trying to work out who owns the rights to a game that was so inconsequential that no one made a note of who owned it after that sell-off is very difficult. But if I could in some way track down who owns the rights to that game, I think they'd sell them for like a pound or something. You know, I don't think they care. I think they'll be happy to get rid of them. I guess if I was personally showing an interest, they might charge a bit more, but I don't think it's going to cost like hundreds of thousands or anything. I think it would be a relatively reasonable amount to buy the rights to, as I say, I wouldn't call it my favourite game of all time, honestly, but in a meme sense, my favourite game of all time. I just think it would be a cool thing to own, right? And you know, I do have a little bit of game development knowledge. It would be a fun thing to kick around with. Like, make RoboPit 3. There was a RoboPit 2. That's why I say 3. There was a RoboPit 2 released on the PS1, and it was not the same game. It was trying to be more of a sort of Zone of the Enders mech thing, whereas the original was more straightforward, just like almost like Robot Wars, if you're familiar with that show, like little scrappy robots. Yeah, I didn't like the second one a great deal. I don't think it was bad necessarily, but it wasn't what I was looking for. But yeah, I could own the rights. Whoa, hang on, what the fuck? What the fuck? Wait, what the fuck? Hang on, wait, things. Have I never been here? There's books on the floor. A book. One day these pages will crumble to dust. I hope to get the chance to read them first. A book. I'll be the first and only one to lay my eyes upon these pages. I don't know if those were... I mean, the problem is, right, a lot of these areas look the same. There's a lot of rooms. It looks like these may be caved in from the ceiling above, right? Looks like some rubble fell through there and the books fell through from above. I don't know where from. I'm sure I have been in this room before, but I might not have gone all the way to the left before. I usually go right when I come through that room. Huh. I think, yeah, I'm pretty certain I've been through there before. I'm pretty certain I have, which means things do change in the world, which I know we knew. But like things we weren't aware were going to change. That's the sort of major defining difference here, because things that have changed in the past, we've always like been able to inspect prior, and it's been like, oh, that looks like it will cave in a week or whatever. This is something that has happened unprompted. We're going to have to do a full reunion tour, aren't we? Next time we pick this game up, gonna have to have a proper walk around. see if anything's changed anywhere. A bunch of places I've not been recently. I've not been up to the mossy area, the swampy area in the top left. At the very least. And there's just a bunch of like individual screens I've definitely not gone onto. Like any of the ones where we found that first book with like the sort of like chapel-y sort of areas in the Crystal Zone, where there were like little pedestal things where we found a book on one of them. Places like that. Or even, you know, places we have been fairly recently, because I say fairly recently, if it was like 2 videos ago, that's like nearly 100 days ago. So, things change a lot in that time. And things will change a lot more in the time between now and next time we play, I imagine. So definitely going to be worth re-exploring some things. Obviously, priority number 1 is going to be checking if we can do anything with our newly grown mushroom, because I would love to climb up into that new zone that we didn't seem able to reach before. I still don't know if that's going to be possible, but I think it's worth a try. Because I don't know what else, like, obviously the growing a big mushroom mechanic exists for a reason. There is a purpose behind that. It's not just, oh look, I can grow a big mushroom, haha, isn't that funny? We can do something with this. And that whole area is very limited. There's nothing there, really. It's just tunnels and mushrooms, aside from that one ledge we can't reach. So it makes sense, right? It makes sense. I'm talking sense. For once in my goddamn life. Okay, let's draw our picture. What do we want today? I feel like we've not used red in a while. We just go red, just pure red and yellow. I would love to get the gold. How about red, yellow and white? Okay. You know what? We found some books today. Let's commemorate that. Beautiful book on a piss background, my favourite. Yellow as a colour has just been ruined, I think. I think the decision to make urine yellow was God's worst mistake. We're just not allowed to enjoy that colour anymore. I'm very suspicious of anyone who says their favourite colour is yellow. It's like, what's your fetish then, mate? Yay! Beautiful. And another picture means time speeds up slightly, even more slightly. Let's try and make a stinky fire, see how that does anything. Sorry, smelly fire, not stinky fire. What a horrible smell, I need to get out of here. Oh. See? He's walking automatically, this is nothing to do with me. He's bailing. Where's he going? Where you going, pal? You got places to be? You got places to be, friend? I'm assuming if I were to log off in my house right now, he would just automatically leave, right? What I might do is log off here. Because I'm intrigued to see where he ends up. I want to know where he's walking to. He's clearly... I don't think he does have a goal in mind. I think his goal is to just get as far away from the stank as possible, but... Obviously I can't log him off in his house right now, and he is going to be walking. He's going to be walking. So, yeah, I think we'll log off here. We'll call it a day here. What I will do is come back to this game. I'll do a dredge, I'll do a blasphemous, then I'll come back here. So, 3 days. 3 days. What, two days? However you want to tally that. We will return to this game, see where we ended up, and hopefully be able to check on the mushrooms by then, and it should all be very interesting and exciting. So yeah, I'll see you soon, and best of luck to the Shade in getting wherever it is he wants to go. Bye.